Welcome back to the Bottom Line Podcast, where we say what we mean and we mean what we say. Because at the core of everything that is, was, and forever will be, there will always be the bottom line. Today's guest is a good person, just in the heart, you could tell. I got on the phone with him and we were talking about getting a deal done. And there's this intuitive connection. You know a bottom liner when you hear one. You know a straight shooter when you hear one, right? So we've been talking a little bit about, the state of things as far as the real estate industry is concerned. And, I really wanted to get his bottom line about, what's going on right now and the direction in which the real estate market is moving. And also how we can build businesses during this time, right? So just give you a little bit of background about my guest, right? So my guest today is the founder and chief executive officer of the CS organization. Now, the CS organization is a full service real estate firm based out in New York City. This is the part that's really inspiring, and I want people to pay attention to this part, all right? Now, my guest began his career as a commercial real estate broker in 2013, okay? And through his success, first of all, commercial real estate is not easy. That's a hard animal to get through, right? It's a different beast, a different animal from residential real estate. So for him to gain the level of success that he's had since 2013, okay, he quickly realized his passion and dedications to excellence in the industry. He founded the CS organization to pursue development, okay, the development of the communities that he wants to invest in. So you got a lot of people who just invest in communities, but they don't really focus on they don't really focus on increasing the value of the communities in themselves, right? They just buy property and then they let the property generate income, and they don't really go into the communities themselves. So his vision is to not just buy property in the communities, but also to help the communities help themselves, right? And we'll talk about that during this broadcast, okay? Now, my guest started CS organization in 2015. Okay, so about 5 years ago, he started this. And over the course of his career, he's been involved in numerous real estate transactions throughout the country, all right? He's partnered with some of the industry's most recognized firms, and I'll let him tell you more about that as we go on, to collaborate in the delivery of truly magnificent residential / commercial and hospitality projects across the country, okay? So today's guest is Mr. Christopher J. Calabrese with the CS organization. How you doing, Chris?
Good. Thank you for the beautiful intro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Those are your stripes. And as I was reading over your profile, man, I was just like, wow, this guy is really accomplished, and he's been at it for a while, right? So yeah. Just to start things off with the bottom line, I want to go through a lightning round with you, okay? We'll go through a lightning round. I'll give you a couple of topics, and these topics, it's called a hands down lightning round. So here's an example. Apollo Creed taught Rocky Balboa how to actually box, hands down. So Rocky 3 was good, but Rocky 4 was actually a lot better, hands down, right? That's my argument. So, all right, so this is called the hands down lightning round, okay? I'm gonna give you a couple of topics, and you tell me what your bottom line is about these topics, right? If you don't like the topic and you choose not to comment, just say pass, and I'll move on to the next one. Cool?
100%. I'm ready.
All right. First one, Mike Tyson's comeback.
Pass on this one. I'm not too on top of that.
No? Okay. All right. COVID-19, protecting yourself, masks or cloth face coverings?
Masks, 100%. If you're going to do it right,
Okay. Suburban life or city life?
Depends on the stage.
Depends on the stage.
Of your life. If you're younger and you want to live the city life, 100%. It really depends. Personally,
yeah.
I think, I feel like in the next 3 years, suburban for me.
Suburban for you? I hear you. Over here. Okay. CrossFit or high intensity interval training?
I'm going to go with the latter option.
High intensity interval training, hit?
Hit.
100%. All right, my man. And last one, favorite gangster movie of all time?
Scarface.
Scarface. Nice. Why? He dies at the end. It's so sad.
Yeah, listen, all those crime movies, they all end the same.
Yeah.
It never works out. That's why I got to do things by the book. But listen,
Right.
I like the whole, the way it's funny.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
comedy.
Working towards the American dream. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So let's talk about you, man. How you been adjusting? How have you been adjusting since this whole thing hit? Since the pandemic started?
Been good. A lot of time that I spent doing things that I normally wouldn't do, and spending time with the family, and doing things that thank God that I could do during this time, unlike others who may be stuck somewhere and alone, whatever the case may be. Tons of work, still trying to just keep pushing through and getting things done.
Right. Yeah. Nice. So you're in the real estate game. It's a crazy game that you're in, especially the commercial side of it, right? Let's kind of get, because in the beginning for me, what I used to hear a lot of people say, and I was like, yep, I officially qualify, is you gotta be crazy to go to work for yourself. You have to have some kind of a screw loose or something to go work for yourself, because it's not guaranteed, right? You gotta hustle, you gotta grind, right? So what was it for you that motivated you to say, I'm gonna go this route and there's no turning back?
Well, honestly, starting as a broker, my family has been in real estate for about, let's say, 50 years, between 45 and 50 years. And, I've been around that, that attitude and that mindset. I grew up around it. And I knew that, as long as I gave it my all, that it would be something that I should be able to, get,
Right.
get done, right? But at the end of the day, it comes down to the person. You could be in the best environment. You could be in the worst environment. And you see people, in terrible circumstances that are much better off than the others, the ones that are spoon-fed with everything. So at the same time, it comes down to, how, hard are you going to work and how much do you want it? I really feel that way.
Right. So you weren't one of the kids that was like, the parents were doing really well with real estate, and then you kind of like spoon-fed, silver spoon, and everything was coming your way. It sounds to me like you were taught the work ethic at a young age, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And at the same time, in the business, in this business, you really can't spoon feed too much.
Right.
Even if you were force fed in a sense.
Right.
It's all about you and how much you want to get done.
Right. Individual performance, right?
Correct.
Yeah. What kind of kid were you, man? Were you like a shy kid? Were you an ambitious kid? What kind of kid were you? Were you kind of like just laid back kind of kid? Like, what were some of if somebody were to talk about you as a kid, what kind of kid were you?
I'm a shy kid. I'm a quieter guy. I'm not the loudest guy in the room whatsoever. I got close friends. I didn't play many sports. I tried sports. I didn't play many.
Right.
More outdoorsman. So that's kind of where I spend most of my time, and enjoy time with my friends.
Right. Yesterday when we were talking, you were telling me you were putting together a mean dish, right?
Oh, yeah.
Love cooking on the grill too, right?
Grilling, everything. 100%.
Right. Okay. What's some of your influences? Like, say around 13, 14 years old, were you aware of anything that may have been influencing you to get into the game you're in now as a teenager?
Honestly, I didn't know what I wanted to do at that age. I didn't know if real estate was going to be my focus. I kind of, I wanted to give it a shot, and
Right.
And then I just fell in love with it. So, I remember, the crazy idea of even this, this one particular idea that I had when I was way younger was actually archaeology, which is
Really? You and I have that in common. I love archaeology.
Yeah.
Yeah. Such a nerd, man. You're such a nerd.
Yeah. And I was like, wait a second, what am I doing with that?
Right. How far did you go with that? Like, explored it, or did you play around?
Not even close. I just thought it, and then when reality set in, I guess when I said, you know what, time to do what I got to do, it didn't even come to mind. You know what I mean?
Right.
It just faded away. But it was there for a moment.
Right. It doesn't make any money really. Yeah.
Uh,
Not really. Yeah. And you're probably discovering things most people forgot about or don't even care to know about.
yeah,
Right. That's why I didn't go anywhere with it. I was like, oh, that's cool. I got a couple of books, but that's about it. Right. Yeah.
yeah, no.
So, okay. Now, let's just say you probably had some other options, right? I know me, I had a few options when I started out in school. I was going to college. Like I wasn't 100% sure which direction I was going to go in. I was like a liberal arts major for a while. And then
Mhm.
maybe at 14, I got my working papers. Yeah. So like 14 years old, I'd say I got working papers. I'm giving out flyers in the streets, right? I used to work for a club. I worked for the pizza shop down the street, just give out some flyers for the pizza, right? And then I like having cash in my hand. I love counting cash, right? It felt good
Right.
because like mom and dad didn't give me cash and we didn't get paid for chores. You know what I mean? Like you live in the house, your contribution is cleaning up the house. So we didn't get paid for chores. The very first time I felt cash in my hand, I was like, dang, it smells good. You know what I mean? And it kind
Yeah.
of motivated me to go pursue like more opportunities to get cash. Can you remember maybe the first time that you how you felt the very first time you earned something on your own?
Yeah,
When it
absolutely.
was? Yeah. Talk to me about that.
I'm not exactly sure when it was, but
Uh-huh.
I remember getting getting a first rental done in real estate, right? And doing the whole process. It was new to me. My father was helping me. I just turned 18, just got my license.
Okay.
And it was a little scary because I didn't really know what I was doing, but I was excited about it. I wanted to get
Right.
it out. And when we closed the deal, it was like a one bedroom or a studio right here in Brooklyn. When we closed the deal, I said, "Wow, it feels great." To take it from that nothing stage and get it done. That was like a more entrepreneurial, I guess, experience too.
Yeah.
Versus like uh, stuff leading up to it.
Right. So you were like spending time with your dad a lot? Were you guys like father and son bonding? Is that what it was?
Yeah, outdoors and
Yeah.
the mountains and stuff. Yeah, it's our forte right there. Yeah.
Nice, nice. I love it. Okay. Yeah, that's important, man. To get close to your dad. And it's like you're not even thinking about doing a deal. It's more like, yeah, this is my dad. I'm just hanging out kind of thing, right? Doesn't take any pressure, don't
Yeah,
put any pressure on you, right?
that's right. Only the good pressure, right?
Yeah, there you go.
A little pressure is good.
A little bit. Yeah. And just so you have a little bit of a grit, little chip on your shoulder, right? Yeah. Uh when you started out, right? Say you weren't with your dad and then you started out really on your own. What were some of the challenges, the obstacles that you faced when you were starting out?
Sure. So yeah, I mean, I started with rentals, and then moved on to like retail leasing, industrial leasing, and little by little, just kind of getting my bearing. I started spending all my time just essentially learning everything I could about
Yeah.
about real estate in itself, and really immersing myself almost like toxically into the business.
Yeah, obsessive, right?
Right, right. And I was in college at the time, so I'm balancing, both,
Yeah.
trying to be, a good student and whatnot. So, yeah, I mean, it was the challenges of learning everything, and I wanted to learn it on my own so I could, go my own way and do the right thing.
Yeah.
And I sold the house and with my cousin, and we had a good time with that. But it wasn't really speaking to me in a sense that I wanted to say move forward in that type of career.
Yeah.
Um, so then I started to look at commercial deals, and things kind of fell into place. Uh, with new opportunities, and I basically immersed myself in learning that market and that industry
Yeah.
as a whole around 19, and that's kind of where things started to I started to turn on my own a little bit.
Yeah. That first deal you're talking about that you did, did you sell a house in Brooklyn? Like, where was that deal?
Yeah, it was in Bensonhurst, right by the office.
Okay. How much did
Um,
you make?
it was on West Fifth Street,
Uh-huh.
and it was a single family, nice home, beautiful owners.
Right.
How much did we sell it? I don't know. I think it was like $850,000.
Okay.
I don't remember what the details were, but
Right.
yeah, it
What
was a
was it?
great.
What was it about that feeling that you say that it wasn't enough for you that made you go into commercial real estate instead? Were you disappointed? Was it like frustrating? What was that feeling like?
Now, listen, honestly, selling real estate, I don't care what type it is, it's hard.
Yeah.
It really is not for most people. I feel like it's people get discouraged. Um, there's a lot of challenges. When you're talking about a single family house, there's more basic challenges than you would in commercial real estate with all the laws and everything else you got to check.
Right.
However, it just didn't excite me as much, right? It was nice, but it didn't excite me. And then when I stumbled into commercial, I fell in love, and it was different.
There it is. The
It's like
excitement.
love at first sight, yeah.
Yeah, there it is. The excitement. It was more exciting. All right. Yeah. So, okay. I know when I started out in real estate, I started out as a rental agent, right? This was back in '09, like a year after Lehman Brothers happened. And I was starting out in the city in Manhattan. And I had no intention of being a rental agent, like no intention. I went in it to go and sell property. I wanted to sell real estate. You know what I mean? And when I started out, everybody was just putting me towards get your feet wet in rentals, get your feet wet in rentals. So
Yeah.
I'm renting apartments uptown, Washington Heights, Harlem. I'm renting apartments. And then I can never transition into sales. When I finally got into sales, like around 2010, 2011, I started doing sales training. That excitement that you're talking about, I felt that with sales, right? Because the language was different. It seemed more straightforward. The commission checks were going to be bigger, you know what I mean? And the relationships were more like meaningful relationships. They were less transactional, more like getting in touch with people and talking to people,
Right.
So I kind of stuck with it. And I looked into commercial real estate a little bit. And there was a guy in the office. His name was Michael Chen. And he was an animal. Like, he gets on the phone and he was just yelling and screaming at people because those deals are intense, right? They're intense. And I sat next to the guy, and it was kind of like, I thought I could ask him for some pointers here and there, but he'd be ready to rip my head off. And I was understanding that his frustration was coming from the intensity of those deals, right? So you seem like a pretty calm guy. You seem pretty even keel, even tempered, right? But you're in a really intense part of real estate. Commercial real estate deals are no joke, right?
Right.
How do you deal with all of that? Like, how do you call it excitement, but how do you deal with all of that? Is there a matter of foresight? Is there a matter of, of risk management? What's going on? How do you keep that even temper going doing those deals?
It's all about how you approach it, your personality, how much patience you have. I could assure you that there are times where you feel like the deal's gonna fall apart.
Right.
On the broker side, especially, even more. On the principal side, you've got options. You know what I mean? You're not, it's not like the end of the world. But when you're a broker, you're trying to do this to make a living and feed your family.
Right.
A lot on the line. If you have one deal or two deals on the table, you're definitely praying that you get them done. And commercial takes a long time. It's not like, okay, sign the contract, all right, we're closing. No.
It's not a 30-day, 60-day turnaround, right? Those are longer turnarounds.
It's always drawn out and complicated in every way possible. And you got to be the mediator to be able to resurrect deals, to be able to guide them in a sense that they're going to get to the right destination.
Right.
How do you deal with that stress? Positivity, always feeling that, if I don't know the answer, I will find the answer.
Right.
And I will make everybody win. And, and that's how you win.
Right.
But I also think that a balanced amount of, in other words, the time you spend, let's say when you're not working, which for most people in this business that, do well, but it's not much time.
Right. They always working.
Really cherish that time, because otherwise you're going to be, fried. You know what I mean?
Mentally fried, right? Yeah.
No doubt.
How many deals would you say you focus on a monthly basis? Would you say is a healthy amount of deals to put your energy towards?
Listen, it really depends on, we have 3 lines of businesses here at CS.
Yeah.
development advisor and brokerage. I would say that development is the most, busy.
Okay.
The brokerage is, I would say, more selective,
Right.
especially now in the New York market. Things are just totally different than the way they used to be.
Especially now, right?
Especially during COVID, but
Yeah.
even the past year or two, New York City has taken a lot of hits politically and everything. So I would say on the principal side, it's a constant review of new opportunities, and you're just, you get into a groove of vetting and making sure you're spending your time on the right stuff. You don't want to spend time on the wrong stuff and end up wasting time. It's
Right.
the right move,
Right. When you said there are 3 parts of CSP, right? So tell me what you said. Tell me to repeat those 3 parts for me again, please.
It's development.
Development, okay.
It's advisory work, which is capital advisory, and then the second is brokerage here in New York City.
Got it. So is it like a one-stop shop pretty much for clients, right?
In a way, and sometimes people look at that wrongly, but because of the way that we're integrating, the skills and the resources, it's we're not by any means a jack of all trades. We're focused on one particular model in all of those classes,
right?
That we're focusing in, and in all of those avenues. With brokerage, we're focused on opportunistic deals as well. It's not like I'm doing retail and then developing the other end of the spectrum.
Right.
So
where are you spending most of your time right now? Are you spending more of your time on advisory or on development or on brokerage?
On development and advisory as well. Yes.
Okay. What does that look like? On the advisory side, what are some things that you help people out with where they might have some questions, they might need your expertise? What does that look like?
Mostly capital. Like other developers need capital on construction financing. They need refis on existing assets, whether they be multifamily, industrial, whatever the case may be. So we've been working on a number of these type of deals, and even specialty financing like mezzanine and different programs that we're working on, and creating value in a very different way because of our unique position of being a principal. We're giving them an insight and maybe a guidance that a regular broker wouldn't be able to give because they don't have that side of the business behind them. Right.
So right now during COVID, and everything, right? Advisory is probably, people need your advice right now. People probably need some of your guidance right now. What are some key things that you think, just basic bottom line things that people, potential clients could probably benefit from learning right now?
Well, it really depends on their holdings. If they're developers and they had, locked in, deals that were, started before COVID, and they have financing on the table right now that they've committed to and that they're drawing upon, and that financing is at the right rates, then they're in good shape, because right now in this lending environment, the rates have gone up and up. I mean, the regular rates as far as lending rates on existing assets, they're pretty low right now, and that's why it gives a lot of liquidity to people looking to refinance. But as far as construction, it's like a curse word. Construction is a very especially now, so much risk, so you got to be very careful.
Right. I think a lot of construction projects took a pause, right? Once we got hit with the virus, right?
Yeah.
So
a lot of the big cities, yeah.
Yeah. So does that affect the development side of your business now? If somebody is looking to get into development or maybe expand on development opportunities, right? Mm-hmm. What do you advise in that space?
Well, I definitely would advise them to be very careful in what they're doing.
Yeah.
What they're going to get themselves involved into, as far as purchasing.
Right.
You cannot be buying at these inflated market values and having a basis now.
Right.
Things coming down.
Right.
Because it will bite you later on. So, it's really about mapping out your exposure and making sure that the steps you're taking are long-term steps.
Gotcha. Okay. Where do you think Brooklyn? Let's look at Brooklyn right now, right?
Right.
Where do you think there are good opportunities for growth, maybe for a long-term hold? Because I think right now people are looking for a sense of financial security, right? With all this uncertainty going on, where do you think, as far as like multifamilies, mixed use, you're in the commercial space, so commercial spaces are negatively impacted right now because of COVID. Um, where do you think are some spaces that have potential opportunities as opposed to risk, right? People want to stay away from high risk and go towards those high opportunity areas. What do you think that looks like right now in Brooklyn?
In Brooklyn, I think the industrial market is very hot. I think having long-term leases with strong tenants in the industrial market is a very safe place for people.
Yeah, talk to me about the industrial market. I don't know your space, so you're gonna have to talk to me like you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. What's the industrial market? So who are those people that are active in that space, in the industrial
it
market?
could be smaller investors, which you see a lot of in Brooklyn, people that have owned property a long time and they just bought and bought over the last couple of years, and they've gotten only stronger, right? And then you have the the institutions that come in and they basically buy large amounts of footage, like an Amazon type of.
All right. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's two different models. I mean, it really depends. It really could go either way. I definitely want to say the asset class in itself is fairly safe, and free market rentals as far as residential is safe.
Okay.
But again, I mean, finding those opportunities at the right price in Brooklyn it's been a challenge.
It's been a challenge. What should investors look for? So you're looking at with everything going on right now with tenant laws and tenant laws being modified, right, to be more in favor of the tenant with I think rent control, free market rents, and so on. What do you advise? Yeah, because so like this is kind of goes back to what we first started out with, city life versus suburban life, right? You got a lot of people right now, especially because of COVID, that want to leave the city, right? And so what that's going to do is going to open up some some opportunities, right, for potential investors. So what should they be looking for? What kind of property sizes should they be looking for where you think CS organization can help them out?
I really think that they got to be very careful with new construction here.
Be careful with new construction. Okay.
Absolutely. And I think that new construction is a winning formula here in New York City if you're doing rentals in the right spot. I think condos are saturated. I would advise them to stay away. And I think the risk and the lending environment for condos in New York City as a whole, not just Brooklyn, is extremely, I want to say, unfortunate at the moment.
Yeah. And why is that?
It's just the amount of supply. It's the rates, and it's the prices. The prices coming.
Rates and the prices.
Down.
Okay, so they what is it? They mark it up. It's overpriced.
100%. They're delivering product like right now. You see, all the supply coming on the market from the last 2-3 years, and where are the buyers? They're sitting. They're price decrease after price decrease, and where are the buyers? And it turns out the buyers are leaving because the politics. They're leaving because of COVID too, which is a temporary thing. Hopefully,
right.
See what happens.
Yeah.
But, there's a lot of risk, and I think that market rate rental is never going to go away. There will always be, I would say demand, a lot of demand here in New York City.
Yeah.
No matter what, for that product. But ultra luxury is just not. It's not a good place to be right now.
Gotcha. So what's funny is I've been talking to investors who but pre-COVID who are looking for like maybe 4 families and they wanted to do condo conversions. You know what I mean? And I think for me, I was like, that sounds like a safe play, right? But I'm not on the lending side. I don't know about the risk associated with that converting into condos versus having 4 units that produce an income and a positive ROI, right? Why if I'm an investor and I'm thinking, I want to get into that. I want to get into maybe, converting a 4-family to a condo versus a rental property, right? And looking at the direction that things are going in right now with lending rates and so on, right?
Right.
Which one would pay me a higher yield over a shorter period of time?
Well, listen, if you're going to condo a 4-unit building or a 3-unit building,
Yeah.
you're going to see, you're going to see returns quickly, obviously, because once you do the renovations and everything, it's not like you're doing a new structure.
Right.
You're utilizing what's there, repositioning it. You will see a quick timeline on returns there, given that the market's there. It depends on the sub-market. I think that there are sub-markets like Crown Heights and a little more east, and more or less around the park and the cemetery over there.
Prospect. Prospect Park, you're talking about?
Yes, Prospect Park, where that product is in demand. And, when you have 3 units, lenders are not so worried about, those units being absorbed, and your risk is mitigated in a sense. So, I think it's a good play if your basis is good. You can't be pricing it at the top of the market. You need to be conservative.
Right. So somebody who's looking for long-term growth right now, they want to leave their job in like a year, maybe 24 months, 36 months. They want to go all in as an investor, and they want to, maybe have an income producing property in Brooklyn and then maybe live somewhere else where their money stretches, like Miami or Atlanta or something, right? Because people, I'm talking to people and I'm hearing this is what people want to do, right?
Yeah.
And what would you say would be a good starting point, like qualifying them just to, and they're green, they're starting out fresh, but this is high risk for them. These are people that are employees. They're used to having that, that income coming in every 2 weeks or whatever it is. How do you start them out fresh? Like, what would you say?
I would say focus on 2 families, focus on 3 families, in maybe not in the best neighborhoods where the prices are higher and the appreciation may be slower, but maybe in emerging areas like East New York, places where people are paying less for rent, but at the end of the day, more people are going there because they could afford it more, and there's more demand, and the trains are there, and there's access to the city, and things are happening, things are changing in those markets. I think that is a safe, very, very safe way to enter.
Okay. Low risk, right?
Absolutely.
Low risk, low overhead, right?
100%. And once you get one, you go to the next and you feel more confident and comfortable. And as long as you're buying smart, that's a great way to get started.
Okay. And what do you think the turnaround would be like? Do you think somebody would be, ready to do a deal like that and they could probably quit their job? Is that realistic in like 24 months or 36 months? They could have a stable, line of security. Is that fair to say?
Depends how much money they have available, honestly. But
how much exactly? So let's go to that. Like, how much you think is a good amount of money for them to try to put away for a nest egg to get started?
I would say, listen, if you have a scenario where you're getting 2-3 families in, let's say, Eastern Brooklyn, let's say, not too far east, but that area, and in Queens too is a very good. Good opportunities. You're in that 600 to like 800 type of range,
right?
As far as 2 family, let's say.
Okay.
I would say you would need probably around $500,000 to be comfortable with 2 properties. But I would never suggest quitting your job.
Right.
If you're doing well, in a place when you're making money, stay there.
Right.
Let things work for you. Let the money work for you, and keep building. Otherwise, you're using that cash flow as your, like as it comes, and you're not probably not saving as much.
It'll tap out. It'll stop flowing. You need the cash flow, right?
Right. 100%. You got to be smart what you're doing. So multiple streams is definitely the way to go.
Yeah. Christopher Calabrese, MSI, multiple streams of income. He's telling you straight. And it's smart because, like, you know, you got to leave your emotions out of it. I think, you know, some people, they get overwhelmed with all the bureaucracy and the politics with having a job, and they move up and they don't want to deal with the corporate anymore. They want to go straight into real estate, and they think real estate is a safe bet, but there's a lot of work, there's a lot of risk, and it's better to have it in the first maybe 3 to 5 years as a passive income before you
Correct.
completely rely on it, right? Because anything can happen, right?
Even the biggest of players in real estate, you know, they don't just, you know, wait on their, you know, their checks and their rents from real
Right.
estate. They're involved in many other things, and they
Right.
leverage their position in real estate to accomplish them. And that's
Yeah.
the way to do it.
Let me ask you something else. What do you think about syndicates? Do you think it's somebody who doesn't have enough and they want to partner with other people to get it going? Like, what do you think about that? Is that higher risk, or what would you advise about that?
It's higher risk. You know,
Why is that?
you got to be so careful who you're partnering up with and who you're working with.
Yeah.
But, you know, when one issue comes up, it could be a whole other mess behind them. And character is so important with partners. Partners is literally getting married. You know, you want to make sure
Right.
that everybody's coming correct to the table, and
Right.
you are in love, literally with them.
Yeah. You're in bed. You're in bed with somebody and you don't know who you're in bed with.
You
Yeah.
gotta love them. It's
Yeah, yeah. That's true. It's a fact. Yeah. I personally, I'm scared of syndicates because I think my whole thing, right, with my coaching business is I help people eliminate variables, reduce the variables, and eventually eliminate the unnecessary variables, right? So that way you can like manage your risk a little bit better, mitigate the risk, and then create contingency plans. I think if you have people who are not financially, you know, sound, one, but also financially astute, right? Because you got to be able to look forward. You got to be able to say, okay, over 5 to 7 year period, you know, this is what's going to, I think that's what banks are looking at too when they're lending to a prime borrower, right? They want to see, you know,
right.
their ability to pay. So syndicates, but this is just my personal opinion. For me, syndicates is a little, I don't trust, and I'm not a trusting person when it comes to that. You know what I mean? I'd have to literally like, I'm a prenup kind of guy because I went through a divorce.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, I'm a prenup kind of guy now. But if you met me broke, we can get rich together. But if you meet me and I'm rich, there's going to be a prenup. I'm that kind of guy. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and I think syndicates really, you know, at the end of the day, it depends what kind and what is it for and who, right? If you're talking about retail investors, small time guys that are putting 50,000, 100,000,
right,
even I would say anything below $1 million into a fund like that, those people are going to be a little bit more. So what's going on? You know, what's new? You know, I want to know every little thing. They're going to micromanage the process.
right.
When you have an institution that's parking, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars into a fund, it's a whole different mindset, and it's a whole different process.
Gotcha. Okay. You know, I'm seeing that a lot in Brooklyn too, man. When I ask for proof of funds, and I'll be talking to one individual, and then when that one individual's, you know, takes forever to send me the proof of funds, it turns out, you know, it's not just him. It's like him and a partner and another partner. You know what I mean? And that's a syndicate there. And then I look at it and I say, okay, well, what they do at the table is they probably create a LLC right there, and they write the name of the property they just purchased. So it's like, you know, 525, I don't know, Pacific Street LLC. They just do it right then and there. So it seems like it's happening. It's common, right? But what are some of the, I guess, benefits from having a syndicate, if you can see any, do you think? Because I see them all over Brooklyn.
Yeah, I mean, for the people that want to get into larger deals, maybe, you know, whether it's
door count, what's a larger deal, like by door count? What would you say?
It really depends, because everybody has a different you know, I would say definition of a larger deal.
Okay.
Would be a 3-family from a 2-family. You know, it really depends. But ultimately, the people that are doing those type of deals, they're retail investors that basically, you know, they have cash available, and they, you know, he puts, you know, 500,000, he puts 500, and you have one guy that's sponsoring the deal, and he's putting a little less because he's involved in multiple, and, you know, they're getting them done. But it all relies on that particular guy. You see this with, you know, white collar people, doctors, lawyers, attorneys that are not real estate guys, that are giving their money to the hustler, right? The guy that's going and putting the deal together.
The hard money lender too. There's hard money lenders out there.
And 100% every time with 99% of the time with these type of deals, you have hard money lenders that are not
Yeah.
broke. And it gets sketchy. People get screwed over.
Yeah.
And
They
sometimes
delay it.
right? Yeah, but listen, all I gotta say is do your homework.
Right.
Be in bed with the right people. Definitely.
Experience is the best teacher, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Let's switch into your business itself, right? I know that you're hiring right now. You're looking to grow your company, right? CS organization is hiring, right? What are some positions that you have available? What are you looking for us?
Sure. We're looking for 3 types of individuals. All, entrepreneurial mindset, driven people. And we essentially, on the brokerage side, we're looking for real estate investment sales associates that could come into the office and focus on, all aspects of investment sales, whether it be industrial, mixed use, retail,
Right.
development side, whatever the case may be.
Right.
People that have some experience and, they just want to work hard and they enjoy it. And that's what I'm, looking to team up with on that particular avenue. And the other one is more of a hybrid role.
Okay.
With the advisory division, you're involved in so much, right? It's so much more than just being a broker. You're a deal maker and you're essentially you're a creator of solutions, right?
Right.
So when you're talking about capital solutions, there's so many ways that could be sized up and essentially accomplished.
Right.
And there's a lot of times where, because we're an in-house principal as well, the two cross over and maybe, we get involved in a deal that, came from that side or something. So it really depends. But again, looking for hungry people that, want to do good business and want to make a very special life out of this business. And it really becomes a lifestyle, definitely.
Right. How many people do you think you'll be able to take on right now? Once we get this, we get people applying for this. How many positions do you need filled?
5 to 10.
5 to 10. Okay.
I'm targeting. I had over the course of the virus, I think I told you over the phone. 500 applicants on LinkedIn.
Really?
Which is amazing.
I
couldn't believe it. And we just kind of going through and still seeing who makes sense, who doesn't, and hopefully we get some great talent. Some tremendous resumes and whatnot that was submitted. So.
Gotcha. That's important right now, right? And I think what's happening too is you're hearing a lot about the unemployment numbers are low, and people are kind of waiting for unemployment checks, and there's a lot. So to hear that, you're out there, you're hiring, you're in the community, you're not just, looking to do acquisitions, you're also trying to help the community too. And I think that's exactly where, we need to be, not just as a people, but also as like professionals. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're not just transactional. We see what it is now. COVID has exposed so many people. It's crazy. Right. And you could tell who's like, who puts their back to the wall and really hustles and grinds. And you could tell who's waiting for a handout now. Right. So if you're looking for, and I'm just going to, big you up a little bit because, just talking to you over the phone, you're very hands-on with what you're doing, especially when you're looking for a deal. And you're transparent. Like I never feel like, you know what I mean? Oh, I got to stay on top of this guy. Like I passed you a deal and I said, talk to this guy and, you and him work it out. And you're like, no, I got you. Like, I'll keep you in the loop. Right. And that's the kind of relationship that you want to have with people. Right. So if anybody does, come to work, with Chris over at CS organization, you got somebody who's a person's person, a man's man. You know what I mean? And that's where people want to work. You know what I mean? They want to have that relationship where they don't feel like their job is always on the line. You know what I mean? And they're learning as they go too. That's the other thing. You learn as you go, which is important.
100%. In the environment here and the environment with me, just with me alone is very unique, I feel. And, caring like family is kind of, the team idea here. And it get, this business and this role in a sense could, there's no limits to what you could get yourself involved in and what you
Right.
could accomplish if you work hard. And that's what we want to instill here and going forward, because we
Yeah.
like to see, people, succeed as we succeed.
Right. So then just to play devil's advocate a bit right now, right? And I think for me personally, I think the real estate market is really strong and, people are going to continue to buy and borrow. Where do you see Brooklyn right now? Maybe over the next, I want to say 3 to 6 months. What do you see? Just to give us, maybe some insight.
Well, I mean, on the residential side, I see things slowing down a little bit as far as buying. I see a lot of deals kind of shifting,
Mm-hmm.
where the market, maybe was more of a seller's market, you know, in the years leading up. And now we're in a buyer's market where there's so many options, there's so many avenues to go because people want to leave. People
Right.
want to, either get out and, they said this about 9/11 as well with New York City. Oh, everybody's going to leave. And
Yeah. Right.
it doesn't work like that. But
Right.
I think with 9/11, it's a different mindset. Here, we're talking about space, right? We're talking
Right.
about, wow, like, what if I like working out? What if I like cooking at home? Well, why do I got to go to the gym? What you start to ask yourself these questions, and you say to yourself, wow, I could save money doing this and doing that. And maybe I got to get a bigger place,
Right. Right.
And all these things. There's so many examples of that. I could go on forever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but people are waking up to that, and they're embracing things that maybe they didn't do.
Right. That they want to do still, probably, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And art space is like, if you had a backyard during COVID, you're like a superstar, Here, especially here in the city,
Right. You can quarantine for real. It's
Yeah.
not a big
You're
deal,
good.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially a guy like you. You got the grill. You can do what you need to do. You can just
You
like
gotta
chill
get
out.
out.
Yeah. No,
Fresh
that's
soul.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Let's I don't want to take up too much of your time, right? I think we had a lot of value here, and I think really what I want to get from you, because you're ambitious, but you're a silent killer, man. You're a silent killer,
Thank
right?
you.
But you're definitely ambitious. I mean, our conversations over the phone, I can hear it. You know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah, he's getting it. I want to get it too, right? What is your reoccurring truth? What is your bottom line, Chris? That truth that continues to repeat itself over and over. As long as you've been doing what you've been doing, as a human being and also as a professional, what has been your reoccurring truth, your bottom line that you like to share with people?
Bottom line is this. When it comes to business, I am in love with what I do. I have a serious passion for what I do. It is essentially me waking up and being super excited to, get things done and push the agenda forward. And it's almost like I'm living my dream because I'm doing exactly what I want to see myself doing when I'm 60, when
Right.
things are, a little bit more calm, when I'm
Right.
older. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's living passion. And in personal life, I feel great. I feel like, I have a lot to accomplish yet, and a ton to accomplish. And
Right. Yep.
yeah, and I'm very blessed to be where I'm at, and thank God, my family, my friends, and everything.
Yeah, love to hear it, man. I love to hear that, man. I'm sure your parents are definitely proud of you, especially your dad, who's probably out there with you in the beginning to see what you've become. I definitely, I hope that this is not the end of what everybody says it is, right? Like, oh, this is it. We need to all get up and get out because the world is changing, and this is a global problem. Nah, it's a learning experience. I feel like, you know what I mean. And the more people we have, guys like you, who are like, yeah, but we can make something happen here, who's opportunity, like you're very opportunity oriented. The more people like that speak up and have these kinds of conversations, the more hope it inspires, right? So I look forward to having another conversation like this sometime in the future once we get back to a real normal, not this new normal that I'm hearing so much about.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Definitely. So thanks for taking the time, Chris. This is Chris Calabrese with the CS organization out in, where do we find you? Tell us where we find you, Chris.
In Bay Ridge and Bensonhurst, Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
But constantly moving around, but more or less you see me in Brooklyn. And thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Anytime. All right. This was The Bottom Line, where we say what we mean, and we mean what we say, because at the core of everything that is, was, and forever will be, there will always be the bottom line.
Love.